Namaste friends, and welcome back to the Way Yoga. My name is Sarah and I'm going to be your instructor for this Get Up and Glow yoga class. So today I thought it would be fitting and a little different than what I usually do here on the channel to take the practice outside. So right now I'm in my backyard. I'm on my yoga board, as you can see, with my yoga mat, just to, I don't know, it felt like appropriate to do that for today's theme. So I've been working with Gaia energy lately, so just wanting to be outside more, and so yeah, I just felt like this was fitting for today. For today's class, you will not need any props, but of course you're welcome to grab them if you need them. And yeah, I just invite you to join me on the mat whenever you're ready. This is just going to be a quick, effective flow just to get you going and start it out fresh for your day, okay? Let's make our way into child's pose though. And as you're making your way into child's pose, I want to welcome you personally to the channel. Again, my name is Sarah. I've been teaching and guiding other students through yoga for the last 10 years, so it's just something that brings me immense joy. It's just such a privilege to be able to do this, so thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and I hope that you're enjoying my content so far. Now from here, friends, we're going to make this child's pose active. So what I mean by that, I want you to lift the elbows off the yoga mat if they're not already. And for today's practice, let's come up onto the fingertips. Yeah, getting nice and elongated through the spine, releasing any tension in the upper back. Gorgeous. Now we're going to take this over to the right hand corner of our yoga mat, walking the fingertips over to the right hand side, feeling this stretch through the left side body. And of course, utilizing our breath as we go throughout this practice, starting on our next inhale and exhale. Beautiful. On your next inhalation, let's walk the fingertips back through center. As you exhale, we'll take this over to the left-hand corner this time. Gorgeous. We'll hold here for another inhalation and exhale. Good. On your next inhalation, let's come back to center. We'll hold here for just a moment in child's pose, just knowing that you can come back to this at any point in the practice, okay, friends? You never need permission to take child's pose. Now from here, we're going to shift our weight back into our first downward facing dog of the class. So any degree of movement, adjust your stance accordingly. So for some of us, that might look like just walking the feet in a little bit closer towards the hands. Yeah, maybe taking a deeper bend in those knees, but just starting out, I want you just to move about, make this comfortable, make this your own unique expression, okay? Gorgeous. Coming back to your breath on your next inhalation through the nose. And exhale. Beautiful. Now from here, friends, on your next inhalation, I want you to take your hands about shoulder distance apart. Yeah, readjust the feet if needed. Now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna come into plank pose. So watch, it's like a churning action is what I'm gonna be doing. So I'm gonna come forward into plank. Notice I have my knees bent here as I come forward. And then I'm just gonna simply shift my weight back into down dog. So on an inhale, it's gonna look like this, coming forward. And exhale, shifting my weight back. So yeah, just a nice weight just to get flowing here, start circulating, especially after being asleep. The body might feel a little stiff, maybe just a little stagnant, right? So there's really no right or wrong way to do this. We're just taking this nice flowing action in the body, just awakening first thing in the morning. Good. Feeling that strength through your core as you come forward into plank and shifting your weight back into down dog. Let's do one more. Inhale, we'll come forward. Gorgeous. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful job. Now from here, friends, let's go ahead and take that right leg up and back for three-legged dog. And we're just gonna simply yawn the hips open. So down dog with a twist. Taking that right foot over towards the left. Enjoying this activation here, enjoying this hip opening. If you want to roll out the ankle, you can. I love hearing the birds out here and just all the different ambient noises, so I hope you're enjoying that as well. Let's go ahead and take this over on the left-hand side. So we'll take the left leg up and back behind us for three-legged dog. As you exhale, yeah, let's take this over into a nice twist here, down dog with the twist. Just, again, a gentle way to open up the hips first thing in the morning. Coming back to your breath. If you want to roll out the ankle, you may. Good. Once again, let's come back into downward facing dog. Now from here, friends, if you want to watch me first before we do this, I want to challenge you here just a little bit. We're going to challenge our balance. So I'm going to go ahead and take downward facing dog. And what I would recommend for this is taking a slightly shorter stance and maybe widening the feet apart. So maybe taking the feet about mat distance apart for this, okay? Now from here, again, we're going to challenge our balance here. I'm going to invite you to come up onto the right fingertips here, okay? So this may be just enough for today. But if you'd like, you can take your hand to the center of your mat, playing around with that balance, or you can reach for the outer ankle, in this case, the left ankle, taking this over into a twist. You may need to walk that left hand in just a touch, okay? So let's go ahead and do that all together. So find your stance in down dog, readjust accordingly. You might need to shorten the stance a bit. And then from here, we'll come up onto the right fingertips on your next inhale. And again, that may be just enough. And just play around with this. This could be just simply placing the right hand forward, right dead center in your mat. Okay, some of us, you may want to reach for that left ankle, using that elbow here as leverage for a twist here. And again, we're just challenging ourselves today. No need to force anything to happen. Gorgeous. We'll stay for one more inhale. And exhale. On your next inhalation, let's come back to center. Let's take this really quick on the other side. Well done. And again, we'll just come up onto the left fingertips, play around with the balance, readjust as needed. Some of you may be able to take that left hand towards center. And some of you may be able to reach for the outside of that right ankle. Nice. Enjoying this twist, coming back to your breath. On your next inhale. Such an amazing view. All right, friends, on your next inhalation, let's come back into downward facing dog. And just for good measure, let's come back into child's pose. Yeah, let's get off those wrists here for just a moment before we continue on in the flow. Great job. It's nice to challenge ourselves from time to time in the practice, right? It's just fun to play with the different yoga poses. So thank you for trying that. Okay, so stay here for as long as needed. Otherwise, we're going to meet back in downward facing dog. We'll get into our flow. We'll come back into down dog on your next inhale. And exhale, start to settle in. On your next inhalation, let's take that right leg up and back. Exhale, down dog with the twist, just briefly. Good. On your next inhalation, that right leg will come up and back behind you. Exhale, we're going to step the right foot forward between the hands, coming into a low lunge. So this is going to look like a runner's lunge, okay? So no need to be on a tightrope. Make sure that you have a little bit of distance between the left knee and the right to support you here in the balance, okay? Gorgeous. Now from here, friends, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and bring the fingertips up towards the sky. Nice. Exhale, we'll settle in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create cactus arms or goalpost arms. So I'm going to turn towards the camera so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this shape here in the upper body, okay? So on your next inhale, we'll come up. Exhale, bringing the arms down along your side, cactus arms. Inhale, we'll reach up. Gorgeous. Exhale, cactus arms. One more inhale, reach up, reach skyward. Exhale, cactus arms. Let's just do one more for good measure. Inhale and exhale, Nice. Let's go ahead and bring the hands back down onto the yoga mat. Now from here, we're gonna come into lizard lunge. So on your next inhalation, I'm gonna heel toe my right foot off the yoga mat, so it's gonna feel a little bit wider here in my stance. I'm gonna take both hands to the inside of my right foot here for support. And yeah, you can stay just as is if you wanna move around a little bit, kind of shifting your weight on the yoga mat. And we're just getting into those hips, right? So after being asleep for a few hours, things might feel a little stiff. And I want to invite you just to flow a little bit, right? Inviting some movement, some circulation. If you need to pause in any places that feel a little tight, go ahead and do that. Nice. Now from here, let's go ahead and walk that right foot back into our low lunge. And we're just gonna come into a half split, so half Hanuman. So on my next inhalation, I'm gonna start to shift my hips back towards the back wall here, or back in space in my case, and I'm gonna come up onto my right heel here. And again, it's not about getting the head all the way down to the knee. Of course, some of you may be able to do that, but I want you to keep your spine nice and long. If you feel like there's a lot of tension here in the back of the leg, I want you to bend that knee a little bit. No need to lock out that joint, right? So where you should be finding sensation is in the hamstring, of course. You might be feeling this in the hips. You may even be feeling this in the spinal column. Okay. Gorgeous. Now from here, let's go ahead and come back into our low lunge on an inhale. Exhale, both hands will come down. We're simply just going to step back into downward facing dog here. If you need to move around a little bit, go ahead and do that. But we're going to go ahead and get the left side here, okay? So on your next inhalation, left leg comes up and back behind you for three-legged dog. Exhale, let's take this over into down dog with the twist once again. Good. On your next inhalation, the left leg will come up and back. Exhale, we'll step the left foot forward between the hands, coming back into that low lunge once again. Finding your placement, finding your footing before you go anywhere, of course. Good. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and bring those arms up towards the sky. Exhale, we'll take cactus arms once again. Inhale, we'll bring the arms up. Exhale, letting that heart center shine forward. Inhale and exhale. One more inhale. Exhale. Gorgeous. On your next inhalation, both hands will come back down onto the mat. Let's come into that lizard pose once again. So walking that left foot off of the yoga mat, you're gonna feel a little bit of a wider stance here in the hips. And yeah, I want to invite you again, if it felt good, to move about. Again, pausing in any places that feel like they need your attention. I want you to explore that, okay? Good. And of course, coming back to your breath. Taking child's pose as needed. Good job, everyone. All right, so from here, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and bring that left foot back into that low lunge. And then once again, we'll set up for half split, so half Hanuman. So shifting your weight back into the hips, coming up onto the the left heel in this case. Nice. And again, finding that sensation in the back of the leg, keeping the spine nice and long. We'll hold here for an inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. Very good. We'll rebend that front knee. On your next exhale, let's go ahead and make our way back into downward facing dog. Taking your time, readjusting. I'm getting dirt everywhere, but that's cool. I'm here for it. All right, friends, from here, on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and start to shift our weight forward into plank pose. We're gonna take a nice solid chaturanga all the way onto our bellies, coming on to the floor, onto the yoga mat for cobra pose. Now from here, you're on the tops of your feet here, friends. You're engaging the upper back, the posterior side of the body, and we're gonna plant the hands down just underneath the shoulders. Now from here, we're gonna just take a little baby back bend on your next inhale, pressing into the hands, pressing into the feet. Cobra pose. Nice, we'll hold for an inhale. Exhale, come down. Now, I'm gonna invite you, we're gonna do this 2 more times. You could take Cobra, or from here, I want you to widen your stance with the hands. So you're gonna take your hands just a little bit wider than the yoga mat here. It's gonna feel a little strange, but you might find that you have more leverage to come into Cobra this way, okay? So again, you could take traditional Cobra or Cobra with a wider stance in the hands. So on your next inhalation, let's go ahead, we'll press up. And again, you might find you have a little bit more leverage doing that. Good, we'll hold for an inhale. Exhale, we'll set it down. Beautiful. You could play with that, or you can come up onto the fingertips here. So keeping that same stance, coming up onto the fingertips. I don't know exactly what this is called, but I think of like a spider when I come into this, so I'm just gonna call it spider pose, spider back bend. All right, we'll hold for an inhale. Exhale, we'll come back down onto the belly. Gorgeous. All right, now we're gonna get into the shoulders a little bit here. So I'm going to bring my right forearm out beside me here. So I'm gonna rest my right shoulder on the yoga mat, and I'm gonna fully extend my right arm off to the side here. Now check this out. I'm gonna rest my right temple on the yoga mat, and I'm gonna start to turn my hips here so that they're stacked one on top of the other, okay? If this is a lot, what I'm gonna have you do instead, you're gonna thread your right arm underneath your left, and you're gonna crisscross like this with the arms like so, getting into the shoulders that way, okay? And of course you can rest the chin here down, and you can enjoy the stretch this way, and then we'll switch sides and we go the other way, okay? So from here, I'm gonna bring my right arm out beside me once again. I'm gonna bring that shoulder head down, right temple down. I'm gonna roll my hips up towards the sky. Now, you can come up onto the left fingertips here for support. And then you can add on from here as well, friends. So sometimes I like to take my left foot and just stamp it back behind me, so I'm up on the ball of my left foot right now and enjoying the stretch here in the shoulders, okay? Nice. Nice way just to awaken the upper back. We'll come back to our breath here on our next inhale. And exhale. We'll hold for 2 more cycles, starting on an inhale. And exhale. 1 more inhale. Exhale. Good job. On your next inhalation, let's come back to center. And then we'll switch sides. So if you were taking that first option I showed you, you're gonna thread the left forearm this time underneath, crossing that right arm on top. And again, you can stay here enjoying the stretch, or you can just settle in like so with the chin down on the forearms, okay? All right, so from here, I'm gonna bring my left arm out to the side, shoulder head is down. I'm gonna roll onto my left side here, so left temple's down on the yoga mat. And I'm going to stack my hips here. And again, you can take that same option by bringing that right foot back behind you. But we'll just hold for a few cycles of breath, starting now on your next inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale, and inhale, nice, and exhale. Okay, on your next inhale, let's come back to center. Beautiful job, everyone. And then from here, we're gonna press up through hands and knees. So I wanna give you guys some options here. You can either revisit child's pose, Or if you'd like, I'm going to teach you rabbit pose, okay? So again, traditional child's pose, you'll start here. And we could actually build a rabbit pose from child's, in fact. So if you want to play around with rabbit pose, you're going to approach it just like you would taking child, except the crown of the head is going to come down onto the mat. And you can grab onto the ankles, the calves, whatever you got. But notice here, I'm rounding through the spine, allowing the crown of the head to fully support me. You can even take the hands down by your sides, kind of like a tripod, with the hands in the crown of the head here in this case. Personally, the way that I like to approach rabbit pose is I'll come just like I was setting up here just a moment ago. Crown of the head is fully supported into the mat. I like to interlace my fingers and get into the shoulders here. We're not going to hold this very long, and of course child's pose is always an option for you. Good. We're just going to hold for 2 cycles of breath, not long at all, but just enough to get into the shoulders. One more, inhale, and exhale, we'll let that go. Beautiful job, everyone. Whew, I feel awakened, I feel things circulating. It feels so good to practice outside. I may need to do this again. I know I normally don't guide you guys through meditation or shavasana at the end of class, but I wanted to do just a very quick activation with you all. So if you'd like to stay and participate in that, I invite you to do so. It's going to be really quick and simple. So all we're going to do is bring the hands together in front of our heart center. Notice that my fingertips are coming together here. And as we breathe in, I want you to imagine just this orb of white light or golden light. Sometimes I like to imagine gold. And with each inhale and exhale, just this field of energy is just expanding and starting and emanating here from your heart center. So let's do that together. We'll inhale and exhale. Beautiful. And again, with each in-breath, I want you just to imagine this field just growing bigger and bigger and stronger until it fully encompasses all of you, okay? So you're protected in this field of golden white light, okay? So let's breathe into that space. Let's imagine that together on your next inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Good. So taking this glow, right, this magneticism that you just cultivated, this positive energy, we're just going to seal the deal here. So taking your right finger, your index finger, you could take your left hand if you prefer. I want you just to imagine tracing this field of white light all around your body. Nice. Creating this circle, this field of protection, of peace. Right? You are free to shine your light in this world, and you are safe to do so. Good. So taking that energy with you into the rest of your day, I hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this, I would love your support in the form of your likes and your subscription to the channel. And until next time, friends, namaste.